What is up? Noel Walsh here, the gunslinger from NWA Conquer What You Chase sales training. Wanted to talk today about, we're going to call it Monday metaphors. I was just at Bryce Canyon National Park, Capitol Reef National Park, Cedar Breaks National Monument, also did some dispersed camping, but did 4 days of camping with my family in nature, in my family's presence, off of Facebook, off of social media, off of the phone, away from work, just kind of gathering my thoughts. Not that I'm not tuned in with myself, but just gathering my thoughts. And I started looking at things and looking at the metaphor that lies in between them and how those metaphors stack up in our lives. Like, for example, this palm that we have right here, about a week ago, this stem just started growing. I mean, that stem's 8-9 feet tall. We don't even know what it's going to do. We've only lived here a little while. We've never had palms before. We came from Michigan, where you have oak trees and elm trees and lots of grass. Here we have a gravel yard, no grass. You can hear the sprinklers going right now. But this palm is getting the proper light, it's getting the proper nutrition, and it's getting the proper amount of water, whether it's not too much, not too little, it's getting the proper amount. But look how that grew 8-9 feet in a week. So the metaphor there is, if you're a manager or if you're in sales, I've got this fly bothering me here, if you're a manager or if you're in sales, if you properly take care of something and you properly grow something and you give it the right ingredients and the right tools, look how fast that can grow. Just look how fast and how powerful that can grow. It grew, like I said, 9 feet. You didn't see it from anywhere. None of the other palms are doing that. But it's getting the proper amount of nutrition, the proper amount of sunlight, the proper amount of everything. So look at yourself, look at your staff, look at your salespeople, look at your sales career, and are you giving it the right ingredients to grow? Another metaphor I saw is when we got home, we had a big windstorm. And this had knocked over this branch. This branch was like this last night when we got home. Thought that it was almost broken. It was hanging down. I put that up. It got the sunlight today. It came back up. The metaphor in that is, if something gets knocked down, it doesn't need to be ripped out. It doesn't need to be taken down. It doesn't need to be taken away. It doesn't need to be gotten rid of. It just needs to be able to come back to its natural state. So that is the metaphor that I saw with this bush when I came home and I was in a presence of nature and of my family and of myself, that even though something gets knocked down, it can come back. A great success story is Chad Lynn. I hope you're watching. I texted you a little bit today. You know, this guy went through some problems in his past, as we all have. We all did. We're all going to, in one form or another in the future also. But this guy's selling 40, 50, 60 cars a month. So when you get knocked down, you can't let that be your reality. You can't get leveled. You can't stay down. You need to get in the sun. You need to come back up and come back up to what's up top. Now, another thing I wanted to show is our Explorer here. So we've had this Explorer. I love it. It's the Explorer Sport. I'm a Ford fan, although I do have Ruby, the Rubicon. Show them a little Ruby. Love me some Ruby. Have lots of fun family adventures in Ruby. But if you look at our Explorer, it's rated at 5,000 pounds to tow. So we picked up a camper. We bought it used about 1.5 years ago because we didn't know how much we'd use it. We use it all the time, by the way. Our son calls it our other house. But the Explorer's at capacity pulling that. So I wrote the blog, and I'm going to come up with a video on the law of 8s and living your life at 8x in every category. In your personal life, with your family, and in sales and in your career. Because if you're a 10x salesperson, you might be a 4x dad. You might be a 3x husband. You might only give yourself 2x attention and time and energy for yourself. So make sure that you're living an 8x life and that you're living a life of balance, because that will help you be more successful. But I looked at this, and this is at like 90% capacity. And so it's a workhorse. So the vehicles nowadays calibrate themselves. Remember this information to tell your customers. So when we first pulled with it, it was a little bouncy, it was a little tough. We pulled this up to 11,000 feet, pulling 4,500 pounds behind it, and it's rated at 5,000. So we were at 90% capacity. We were 9X in the Explorer. We were at 90% capacity, but the Explorer did its job. It did what it needed to do because we pushed it. So the metaphor in that is, if you live a 10X life, when you need that power, calibrate yourself to be able to get that power, to have that energy, is how you want to live. Another metaphor I realized is, if you don't take care of things, especially the bigger they are, the bigger the problem's going to be. So I lacked, before we left on Wednesday, I lacked checking the chlorine on the pool. We have a big pool. You've seen my pool in some of the other videos. So I lacked checking the chlorine on the pool, and I forgot to do the muriatic acid shock to it also before we left. So we came home, we had some rainstorms, we had some windstorms, which blows around a lot of the red sand. We have the red sand here. Utah used to be a shallow sea, so we have that red rock and red sea. It used to be coral beds. Pretty amazing thing to see. But so we had all the red sand. We didn't have chlorine. It was 100 degrees. We had algae in there. So the metaphor in that is, if you neglect something, you're going to come back to 10 times a bigger problem, to a lot more work. So the metaphor there is, especially, don't brush things off to the side. Don't half kilter what you're doing. Always do things thoroughly, properly, and right, or else it's just going to be a bigger problem and more work at the end. If I would have taken the 5 minutes to drop the muriatic acid in and check the chlorine, maybe kick the level up a little bit, I wouldn't have the problem, the hours of work that I'm going to have on the pool now, or calling somebody in if it's something that I just can't handle on my own. So what I wanted to talk today about was metaphors. If you are properly looking at things in life and seeing what those add to your life, like the palm that's growing quick as ever. If you take care of something right, it will grow. Your sales, your staff, your employees, your career. The bush that got knocked down. If you pick it back up and you get it back to its normal surrounding, it will come back around. The Explorer. If you push something to its limits and you need it and you keep on it, it will add new limits. It will have more capacity. It will reinvent itself. It will recalibrate itself. And then the pool. If you have a problem, if you don't take the 5 minutes to do things right, to do things properly, you're going to come back to 10 times more work and 10 times a bigger problem. And that small problem can become large, and that big problem can become enormous. So a little Monday metaphors for you. Noel Walsh, thank you everybody for joining. Gunslinger out.